Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jared Goldberg. I'm the Director of Marketing at the JCC. Welcome to virtualjcc.com. If you're on Facebook watching us, welcome as well. Across from Schwartz, Riesman, and all across our destinations, we appreciate you guys joining us today. We have a very special guest today talking about low-tech gadgets and fun things you can do with children during the isolation. But I also want to let you guys know that tonight, a very special broadcast at 7 p.m. with Maccabi Canada. We have Ty Kelly from the Israeli baseball team and also the New York Mets will be joining us for a conversation at 7 p.m. right here on virtualjcc.com. So make sure you join up for that. We would be happy to see you there. But right now, I have a friend of mine, Marc Saltzman, who's going to join us momentarily to talk about low-tech gadgets and fun things you can do at home with the kids and get them off the TikTok and the Facebooks and get them engaged with some really quality things aside from just staying on the computer. So while most of us are in self-isolating at home during the spread of COVID-19, at the very least, there's technology to help us remain connected and entertained. From video chatting with friends to multiplayer video games, tech can help us cope with the new normal. But if you're concerned about that, my friend Marc Saltzman will be joining us to give us tips about low-tech fun ways to engage your children. For the past 25 years, Marc Saltzman has been a prolific tech expert with one simple goal: to break down geek speak into street speak. And I think coming from a geek like myself, I love that. Marc is a 16-time author, radio and television personality, public speaker, and a host of Gear Guide, which runs at Cineplex movie theater screens across Canada. And that's how I met him. Was going to Cineplex, and if you see him talking on screen before about all the tech gadgets coming out, from Bluetooth earpieces to new phones and devices and tablets, he's one of the best. So welcome Marc Saltzman to the show. We appreciate him right now. So Marc, how are you? There you are.
Wow, what an intro, Jared. Thank you so much. Great to chat with you. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
We haven't seen each other in probably 4 years, because we did work on a project 4 years ago with the CRTC, which was really fun.
Yeah, that was down at the Thompson Hotel. That was a blast.
Hotel.
Yeah.
I had a really good time. So I'm happy that we were able to connect and get you back here. And of course you have a lot to say about this stuff, and I love that you say you want to get geek speak to street speak, which
thanks. That's my cheesy tagline. Yeah, appreciate that. Well, so most people know me as the guy who introduces new tech, but yeah, I thought for at least the first ways, because I know a lot of parents are concerned about screen time, excessive screen time. They feel helpless, because that's what the kids and the grandkids are all into. Their tablets and their smartphones and TikToks and FaceTime and video games, and it can be a lot to try to pry them away. But I've got a couple of suggestions that I'm excited to share with you about. So.
I say we just get into it, because we have a lot to talk about. I also want to preface this that we are going to be talking about technology that can be helpful to parents as well, to relax. I know you have twins and a 15-year-old as well. So we want to be able to help our parents and our families relax as well. So let's get right into it. And we find that a lot of people, families or kids, are spending a lot of time on TikTok and Snapchat. So give us a couple of solutions right off the bat that it's free that parents can give their kids.
Sure. And again, I just want to preface our chat, Jared, by saying, like, TikTok is great. It's not just a fun and funny way.
I didn't mean by that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no. I was just going to say, like, I'm not, obviously I'm a technology evangelist. I love this stuff. And TikToks can help you stay physical, because there's often dance challenges. They can help you stay social, because you can connect to see what your friends are doing and follow celebrities, and it's fun and all that. But yeah, just for the purposes of today, we're going to chat about low tech. So all you need is your computer printer, believe it or not, and a couple of websites that you can go to, and there's no shortage of them, in order to have some low tech offline fun with your kids, the young kids especially. So why don't we start, Jared, with printing coloring pages? You may not want to go out to a store these days and buy a coloring book, but there's no shortage of coloring pages out there, often tied to licensed characters. So you just have to simply Google whatever your kids are into. You have little ones to like, I don't know, Star Wars or Barbie. I'm just pulling these brands out of my head, but you can often find coloring pages that you can print out and then just, grab the crayons or the pencil crayons or the markers and have fun with it. And again, these are all free. So this was my 17-year-old's way to relax. Maya was having fun with that the other day. But yeah, like again, any brands that you can think of that your kids are into, Paw Patrol or Super Mario or whatever, take a look at what's available by just simply Googling coloring pages and then the name of the characters or things that they're into. Maybe your kids are into trains, or maybe they're into space or Star Wars. Just type that in. Along with coloring pages, you can also print things, even for the big kids, like Sudoku puzzles and crossword puzzles, and just go at it. They're all free. You can often print off the answers as well. And just, that's one suggestion of using your everyday computer printer to have a little bit of offline fun. You can print jigsaw puzzles. Thicker stock is recommended. It'll be a little bit of a better experience, but you can do, if they're very young, you can do the connect the dots kind of puzzles where it just looks like dots and you connect it to see what character or animal or building it creates. So that's one example of things you can do for sure.
Can these be used on the iPad as well? So instead of printing them off, can they be downloaded and used in different apps that are, coloring apps? I know a lot of my friends who draw use all these coloring apps. We're trying to get kids off of technology, but can it still be used on those things to enhance their creativity?
Yeah, 100%. So there's lots of apps. You just have to do the search word coloring pages, and you'll find ones for kids and ones for kids at heart. Often adults are finding it very relaxing to draw with either a stylus pen or their fingertip. You can draw it freehand, where you can actually get outside the lines, or you can just simply tap part of that image and it'll just populate it with the color that you've selected off the palette, usually at the bottom of the screen. So there's lots of relaxing ways you can do that. Moms and dads, you can pour yourself a glass of wine and grab a stylus pen, which you can maybe even get at the dollar store, by the way. You don't have to pay for a very pricey Apple Pencil, even though that will be a better experience overall. Even your local dollar store will have stylus pens of all sizes to use that kind of pen instead of your fingertip. And yeah, a lot of these apps are free, or at least free to start. We call them freemium apps. So they'll be free to get going, and then you can unlock additional content for $1 or $2. And that's generally the trend.
Gotcha. And talk to me about this voice printer. You're talking about for coloring pages and such. And is that right? Is that something that actually exists?
It does exist. Yeah, you do need. Caveat is that you need one of those Google smart speakers or an Amazon Echo smart speaker where you say the wake word. I don't want to say her name because it could ignite your viewers' speakers to go off. But you just have to say, if you have one of these Epson EcoTank printers, I've got one here. It has two cool things to it. One of them is the ability to print by voice. So yeah, you can actually just say, print coloring pages or print recipes or print Sudoku puzzles. You can actually use your voice to ask for something to print. And if you have one of those smart speakers, there's no microphone in this. So that is one of the small catches, that you can actually just print hands-free, which is pretty cool. The second cool thing about that Epson printer, the family, which is called EcoTank, is out of the box, you get up to 2 years worth of ink. So a lot of people, and myself included, I hated when we ran out of ink, always at the most inopportune times. It's like Sunday at 9 o'clock and the kids have a project due in the morning kind of thing, and the stores are closed. And then you have to pay for a cartridge that doesn't last that long. Sometimes it's the same cost as the printer. So Epson has fixed all that with bottles instead of cartridges, and it's called EcoTank, and up to 2 years worth of ink out of the box, which is pretty cool. And then when it's time to buy more ink, they are bottles, not cartridges, that last another up to 2 years. So anyways, that's food for thought. I wanted to talk about free solutions, but if you are in the market for a new printer, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Awesome. There is something that my nieces and nephews are into right now as well. And I think you're getting that right now, the origami.
Origami, yeah. Forgive my sloppy attempt at it. So another thing you can print out. So we've looked at coloring pages and like word search and dots and Sudoku and crosswords. But yeah, there is no shortage of origami puzzles or shapes that you can print out. This is a penguin, but you print out the shape as well, as you can see here. And so often what you have to do is once you print it, you have to cut it into a square first, like traditional Japanese origami paper. But Once you do that, then you just follow along with the instructions. You fold on a dotted line, and so this is my 3D penguin, which is kind of cute if you can forgive a near 50-year-old trying that. But here's a frog. So there's lots of different ways to do it. It's a lot of fun for keeping the younger kids, I would say, obviously, and just print out, 3 or 4 of them and sit at the kitchen table and grab some scissors and just have some fun with it. So that's another thing that a lot of people didn't even think about. Their computer printer is printing origami puzzles. Another cool thing, Jared, is fridge magnets. Now, you do need unless you want to just tape the photos to the fridge, which isn't obviously ideal. You will need fridge. Yeah, that's the old school way of doing it. You can actually buy magnetic sheets of paper. You can get about 5 for about $10. So 5 magnetic sheets for about $10 or so. So about $2 each or a little bit less. And then you select the photos that you want to print, and then you in the desired size, and then you cut them out with scissors afterwards, and then stick them to the fridge. So these are some examples that I've shown on TV before. So these are a couple of examples. These are my 3 kids, Maya, Jacob, and Ethan. This is my lovely wife, Kelly, who works out at the JCC, by the way. She's missing going there.
We all miss that building. She's come to the Schwartz Friesman Center, and we hope that we can open the building up for her.
She's excited about that. She is a workaholic. She actually, so she trains as well and teaches kickboxing as well separately. So these are just examples of family photos that are magnets on the back. And then you can either stick them to the fridge, which is the place, of course, we all go, especially during COVID-19, let's face it. Or if you are celebrating a birthday in the family and you want to snail mail a card to somebody like old school, then you can slip these fridge magnets of the pets or the kids or whatever inside the card and send it to grandma or to an uncle or what have you. And I think it's a nice little sentimental touch to a regular card is by slipping in a few of those homemade fridge magnets using just, again, any inkjet printer will work. You just do need those magnetic sheets of paper, which you can pick up, order online now if you're obviously if you're not able to go to a store. But another fun idea with your regular computer printer. Who knew you can do all these fun things?
So there's one thing that I've noticed. My sister and my mom have been back into puzzles since this started. And with the technology you just told, or the apps that you just told, like, can we make our own puzzles with pictures that we have as well and have our kids do that?
Yes.
So technology develop something, but then they can make it with their, it's printable and then put it together with their hands. Like, that's something that can be
right. And a lot of the experts, Jared, say, a lot of the education experts say it is great. Digital is great for all the things that it offers, but there is something about the dexterity and about a tactile experience with playtime, like actually touching something and manipulating the pieces. So as I mentioned earlier, you can print jigsaw puzzles. Thicker stock is recommended. It'll be a little better, but you could use just regular 8.5 by 11 paper and then just make sure it's flat. But it'll be a better experience if you have an inkjet printer that can accept a slightly thicker stock. And have fun. You can print your own photos. You can then cut them into desired shapes and desired difficulty level. Obviously, the higher number, the more shapes, the harder for the younger ones. But you can have a lot of fun. And then you were asking about apps earlier, like the coloring apps. There's also several jigsaw puzzle apps where you can import your own photo, create a puzzle, and then if you want to amp up the difficulty, you can make them have to rotate the pieces as well. Otherwise, you could just keep it where you just snap it in place. And you can work on the border first, and just like a traditional puzzle. So that's another way to stay, having some fun with your printer. And then one last way, before we talk about moms and dads, one more fun thing for the kids, or in fact for the whole family, are printable board games. Believe it or not. And I think you've got a video that could complement what I'm chatting about here. But there's this French board game company called Asmodee, and they launched 13 free printable board games. So no, it is not the Monopoly or Scrabble ones that you may be very familiar with, but nonetheless, these are some fun and printable board games that are often printable versions of existing board games that they sell. Asmodee has dozens and dozens of ones available. When COVID first struck in March, in a global way, when it became an official pandemic, they released 6 of these free printable board games, and now they're up to 13. So just fun stuff to do. A lot of them are like card game based. Others are more traditional board games where you'll take like a little piece, like almost like a pewter piece that you may have and move around the board. But these are completely free. And if you're stuck indoors and you're looking for something to do on a unexpectedly cold day in May in Toronto, then you can just go to the Asmodee website or Google that, ASMODEE, and free board game, something like that. And you'll find the 13 different ones. And there's video instructions for each game as well. But as you can see there, it looks like a lot of fun. And again, there's a lot of selection.
Yeah, this is very cool. Here's a question for the nerds alike. Is Dungeons and Dragons available? D&D available?
Wouldn't that be cool? Not that I'm aware of, and not from Asmodee, but yeah, you never know what you can find on the internet. So yeah, Google D&D or Dungeons and Dragons free printable board game or something like that, and you might, maybe one of our viewers now can do it while we're chatting and see if they can actually find one. But that's a great idea.
Cool. This is super cool because I know that my nephews, I keep talking about my family because I've been seeing them quite a bit, but my nephew made his own Monopoly board and made characters with the family. So this is,
I love that. That's so cute. Have you seen?
Fantastic.
Sorry to cut you off, Jared. Have you seen online the people who have made their sidewalks in their neighborhood into a giant Monopoly board? It's also very cute, where you have to physically jump. Yeah. As long as you're practicing your distancing, if you're playing with neighbors, obviously. Yeah. But you'll use chalk to draw on the sidewalk piece, like that slab, a different piece of property. It's pretty clever.
That brings back memories. The chalk stuff is amazing, and a lot of people are playing outside on their front driveway, which sports is still happening. I know that with our Maccabi programs, we're challenging them to do some slam dunk competitions on their front driveway, which is amazing. They can still go outside. Before we go into our next segment, because we want to make sure that parents are have their own relaxation opportunities with new technology as well. But is there anything that is plugged in right now that is super hot that maybe people should know? I know we're talking about low tech opportunities, but what's the hottest thing right now out there?
Well, video games, of course, are always popular, especially during COVID, because it's not just for entertainment's sake, but with many of these multiplayer games over the internet, you are connecting with others. So you are able to chat with others in real time. So the likes of Fortnite and Minecraft, make sure though that these games are age appropriate for your kids. But those are a couple of examples of fun games that are very cartoon-like. So those are popular. If you have a Nintendo Switch game system, the Animal Crossing game, the latest one, is very hot. If you're an older gamer, then the new Doom Eternal is an action shooter game. So I think video games are very hot. And then, as we mentioned earlier, social media apps like a Snapchat or an Insta or a TikTok is really hot, and it's really fun. Just for kids. And so, yeah, you should definitely take a look at those.
I also want to ask one question, because Messenger has released, I don't even know if it's new or not, Messenger has released an opportunity for kids to be involved. And is that something that started with COVID, or has that been around for a while?
Yeah, it's been around for about a year and a half maybe, and it's called simply Messenger Kids. And it is like Facebook Messenger, where you can text, talk, or video chat with your friends over Facebook, but it is designed for kids. It's been around. They've added a few new features over time, especially over the last couple of months, and they've added, the ability to talk with more people and all that. If you're unsure how to get going, sit with your child and choose a friend, just one friend to start, and just let them enjoy that experience one-on-one, and then you can grow it from there. But it's a secured environment, and moms and dads, to err on the side of caution. You should, especially if they're younger kids, it's probably not the best idea to have a laptop in their bedroom with a closed door. Try to put a computer in a highly trafficked area of the home if they're a younger child. That's why I always recommend like a desktop instead of a laptop, since you can't even if you're tempted, you can't pick it up and leave so easily. And put it in in a little nook in the kitchen or off the side of a family room where mom and dad sort of keep an eye on where they're going online, just in case. And then till they get older, and that's a whole other ball of wax when they've got their smartphone, which they can really see the screen. So that's a whole other conversation altogether.
100%. So let's go into the next segment, because although we wanted to show what is available for kids in a low tech environment to keep them engaged over isolation or social distancing, we want to make sure that parents have opportunities as well to relax and engage with certain technology that works. I know that I use one of these apps that you're about to discuss. Why don't we bring this in right now? I know we brought some video content. Let's discuss this as well.
So Many of us are feeling anxious for obvious reasons. We're concerned about our family getting sick. We're maybe worried about finances. Perhaps some of your viewers, they've lost their job. I mean, this is obviously a very devastating thing that nobody had anticipated. You may be concerned about being cooped up and feeling, sort of suffocated being in your home because we're not allowed to go out. So for all of those reasons, technology can serve as a way to de-stress you. And we can start off with apps that are designed for mindfulness and meditation. And they're all free to start. So you don't really have anything to lose. You can see which ones you like the best. And then it's a couple of bucks a month, or you can get a discount if you commit to a year. But Calm is one of the ones that we're looking at now, CALM, very popular app with hundreds of different kinds of exercises. Some are more tied to falling asleep. Others are to help you focus throughout the day. Maybe you're working from home and you're having trouble focusing. Some are tied to relaxation and breathing. So you choose what works best for you. You're hearing audio instructions, as you know, Jared, and complemented by some very relaxing visuals we are seeing right here. Yeah. And they're typically between 3 and 25 minutes or so. You choose the length. There might be some restrictions on the free versions if you're still in a trial, but there's Calm. There's one called 10% Happier. There's one called Mindspace. There's another one called Simple Habit. There's a lot of different free to start apps for meditation. So definitely try one.
I'm gonna jump into one sec because I use this app and I bought the full access to it because it's mind-boggling awesome.
Oh, good, great, yeah.
The nighttime stories, believe it or not, have different people reading them. So you can have Matthew McConaughey read you a story to go to bed. Yeah, famous.
All right.
There's also a section with LeBron James specifically because they partnered up with him.
I saw him in a commercial for them. Yeah.
It's a brilliant app. Not only the soothing tones and the soothing options you have for sound, but the meditation is fantastic. It notifies me at 8:45 every morning to do my breathing.
That's great.
I love the app, and it's one of the best ones out there. It can be pricey, but it is worth every penny from what I have used. And I've used it for about a year.
Okay, that's a great endorsement for Calm. Yeah, Calm is one of the most popular, but there are others. And see what works for you. Even iPhone and Apple Watch has something built in called Breathe, where it just reminds you to breathe, even if it's something like that you don't want to pay for. But to get that walkthrough, that meditation walkthrough, there's ones that we've mentioned. And then there's also one out of Montreal called Relax Melodies, which is really more designed to help you sleep. It's a combination of stories with a real soothing voice. It's got like white noise, it can be like rainfall, and we're looking at this visual here, so you can imagine just hearing drops, all the way up to severe storms, which some people find very relaxing. It could be crashing waves on a beach. And they also have those ASMR videos and sound effects, not videos, where the microphone is really close to someone doing something, not eating, but because those are available on YouTube as well. More relaxing stuff like sifting through sand with a little stick. And like you can actually, these sensitive microphones pick up these relaxing sounds. So try it out. Yeah, it's called Relax Melodies. It's another good one.
Imagine, I love the Calm app and other of these. So this is great. Why don't we move to the next one, the next video? We can talk about the next one.
Yeah. So speaking of apps to help you relax, the problem with the meditation apps is whether you get it or not, it just continues on. It's assuming you're following along and it's having an impact on you. But there's no way that the app really knows, as you can imagine. But there's this Toronto-based company called Interaction that has this Muse headband. There's actually a couple to choose from. And this gives the app, the phone that it's wirelessly connected to over Bluetooth, some real-time information on your brain activity. It'll know if you're restless, if you're not focusing, if you're distracted, if you are having trouble just winding down, and it sends that information in real time to the app. So the way it works is you don the headset with phones. It's an EEG, so it's like listening to your brain activity. It's monitoring your brain activity. And if you hear stormy weather that sounds turbulent or what have you, then that means you're not focused, that your mind is shifting around and you're not getting focused. But the more you follow along with the instructions, again, in a similar way, sort of of like calming, focused exercises, the quieter and the more tranquil the nature states become. So it's kind of using real-time feedback. So it's pretty neat. It's not cheap. It starts at about $260 for the headband and goes all the way to about $400 depending on the model. But there are over 300 exercises that, again, leverage your brain activity in order to give you the most relevant kind of relaxation exercise.
Wow.
Pretty cool, right? Neat, right?
I was wearing, this is fantastic. If I was wearing that to bed with my CPAP machine, it's a whole different world.
There you go.
That machine has the monitoring as well to my cell phone, so I know how many times I stop breathing. But this may help with that too.
High tech. Yeah, you're gonna look like a cyborg wearing all this stuff.
Hey man, all good. But this is fantastic. I never knew this existed.
Yeah, they've been around a couple of years. You really do have to put yourself in the zone in order for it to work. So it's a really cool tool, and they do come up with new versions all the time that are lighter and thinner and more comfortable.
Does the app cost money as well, or are you just paying for the headband?
Yeah, you're paying essentially for the headband, and then you unlock the account with your code, and then you've got access to everything. Yeah. Yeah, so that's called the Muse headband. There's the Muse 2, there's the Muse S, but they're all from a company called Interaction, based in Toronto. So good Canadian content there.
Fantastic. Why don't we take a look at the next one, and you can tell us about that.
Right. Okay. So we've talked about meditation and mindfulness apps. We've looked at the Muse headband for real-time feedback on your brain activity. Now, we all know we aren't able to virtually go anywhere today because of COVID-19, but how about a virtual reality getaway? So we are looking at a video here.
Now, right? So
yeah, it's really hot. So it's regardless of the headset you've got, because there are many different ones that you can buy. All you have to do is a search at the VR store where you would download content for vacation or holiday or travel or anything like that, and you will find content like this. This is, for example, from Qantas, the airline, but it's tied to your head tracking. So when you are on that landing strip and you touch down in, I think this is in Australia, Hamilton Beach in Australia, wherever you look, left, right, up or down in real life, like in your chair wearing that VR headset, in that virtual world, you're going to look left, right, up and down. So it really tricks the brain into thinking you're really there. And you can imagine putting on some soothing music and then loading up a video like this where you're walking on a beach or you're flying in an airplane. It can be the next best thing, perhaps, to actually traveling, and a lot cheaper because they're mostly free. So yeah, this is just one example that I pulled, but there's so many. Yeah.
Is there a specific headset that you have access to where you download these videos to? Like I'm still learning a lot about virtual reality, but is there specific headsets you buy with Samsung or whatnot where they have these types of opportunities or these types of experiences?
So these kinds of VR vacations will work with all VR headsets. But what I think you're asking is, are there any where you can download it directly to it and you don't need to connect it anywhere? So one of the most popular VR headsets today, it's called the Oculus Quest. Oculus is a company that Facebook owns, and Quest is their VR headset that you do not need to plug into a computer or a video game console or snap a phone in the front. It just joins your Wi-Fi, and it's got built-in memory. You can add more if you want with a little memory card, but the idea is that you can download content directly to the headset without having to plug it into another device, because that's one of the barriers of entry with VR. A lot of people, they like the idea behind a virtual reality game or a vacation experience like this. And there's many other applications too, by the way, but they didn't like the idea of having to require additional hardware. So the Oculus Quest is an example of a standalone VR headset, if that's what you were asking, Jared. But for any VR headset you've got, whether it be HTC Vive or the Samsung Gear or the Google variety, there's lots of different ones. The Lenovo Mirage Solo, there's lots of different ones. You could just do a search at the App Store that's built into the VR headset and download a vacation like this. Yeah, I just pulled this. I just pulled this from YouTube and from Qantas. But because when you look at a VR video without wearing a headset, it's actually two screens for one for each eye. But I wanted to show our viewers what it would look like, as if you were wearing the headset. But this is actually a YouTube video that's 360.
Very cool. And for kids as well, there's probably a ton of content for kids to use VR opportunity, right?
Yeah, a lot of games. I mean, I think I want to say 70% 70% of the applications for gamers, for VR, it would be for gamers rather.
Yep.
So I think that's like 2/3 of the content would be for games. And then the other third, everything from therapy sessions to virtual escapes, to meditation apps. There are those exist as well for VR, and a lot more. Yeah. In fact, I think the next video we're going to see, Jared, if we have time, is on it's called Sound Self. This is actually a game that's meant to mimic like a psychedelic experience, but safely, drug-free.
Perfect for parents after hours.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, again, this is the topic for our second half. Is tech to help parents relax at the end of the day. It could be a VR vacation, or it could be a game like this, which is really like you have to exhale and make that kind of sound, as you can see here. And it doesn't require VR. It's extra, like if you have a VR headset, it works with it, but you don't need it. You can use just a regular computer. But it's called Sound Self. It's a $20 game that's meant to really sort of bend reality, as you can see, and put you in almost like a trance-like state. It's not for everyone, but it's a pretty cool new game that came out April 22nd. And I use the word game loosely. It's really an experience, whether you use the VR version or just the regular PC version, but it's meant to just really simulate a trip, hopefully a positive one, but a different kind of trip than the one we just looked at. Yeah.
Was there a warning,
so you got the idea,
for people who possibly, because I get sick on roller coasters, I assume this is going to make me sick, but I'm sure it's super fun.
Yeah, it's more about, I don't know if this video isn't really showing what it looks like, but it's more like swirling psychedelic colors, like almost like a kaleidoscope, if you will, with music and sound effect, and tied to your breathing and tied to your vocal exercises. It is interactive. It's not just playing like a movie. It is interactive. But kind of neat. I don't know. I thought that would be a fun sort of way to look at relaxing at the end of a long day while cooped up at home.
100%.
It's Sound Self. Yeah, if you want to look it up.
All of these are fantastic. We love that you gave us all of these options, because not only are we looking for our kids to enjoy themselves, but for parents who want to relax after they go to bed. I think those are good options. And again, everything from the Calm app to VR. There's a lot of options to make sure that you unplug while plugged, I guess you could say. So we've run out of time. I loved having you here. Not only did I get to see you, because I don't get to see you often, we appreciate you being here and giving our community the opportunity to learn about new technology, and also ways to unplug and keep your kids engaged. So Marc, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, tonight at 7:00, we have Ty Kelly with McCubby, who are going to talk about Israeli baseball, the Israeli Olympic team. So tune in at 7 p.m. for virtualjcc.com. You'll be able to watch this video on demand and many more at virtualjcc.com. We'll be streaming to our Facebook as well. So thank you, Marc. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you another time. Thank you.
Thanks, Jared.
No problem.